Can you hear me?
No.
No. Okay, can you hear me now?
No.
Really? Okay, surely now. I live actually right next door to that back tower. I'm very nervous, I never do this, but I was told I should do it. So, I'm an immigrant to your country, and I've only been a resident at 93 Commercial Street for the last 3 years. And I'm going to leave it up to others to testify about the glaringly obvious inappropriateness of these developments for our neighbourhood, the unprecedented strain on an already deficient infrastructure, where apparently the density will double since the last consensus, the insanity of building 10 times 40-storey built towers in what we now know is a flood zone, and not only that, a flood zone on a waterway that is apparently the most toxic in the US, that these developments seem to be going ahead based on an environmental impact statement that precedes Sandy, with apparently only some sort of an addendum to suffice, that the developer's answer is to raise the ground another 5 feet or so, undoubtedly creating problems, possibly even bigger surges downstream for adjacent properties like mine that are not and cannot be elevated 5 feet. How does the elevation of the ground level work for the properties alongside who are not 5 feet high? Has anybody asked about this? Rather, what I wish to contribute is the perspective of an outsider and a newcomer. Also, my own personal perspective as someone who since moving here has been diagnosed with cancer and is now in remission from cancer. Greenpoint is like nowhere else I have lived, which includes many different countries and cities. It is special. It is special because of the current community and because most of the buildings are under five stories, and all this with the backdrop of NYC. Currently, it is a healthy mix of cultures and ages, and it is not elitist or segregated. These developments are going to destroy all this and forevermore. And to what purpose? To make a few rich people even richer, and to house a huge influx of people who are far more affluent than our current community, and mostly will be moving here for the views. Approval of these developments means that Greenpoint, as we know it, will be no more. I was very disappointed to be present at the community board meeting of last week and hear the decision was to reject but make approval based on getting more affordable housing. To hear the board say that this is what the community wants, that, quote, time and time again people testified that affordable housing was the most important thing to them, tells me they were not listening, or rather only hearing the coward voice of the community. Well, if we have no choice, let's get what we can out of the development. This is not at all what the community wants. It is what they've been told is all they can expect. Furthermore, apparently this affordable housing carrot has been waved at our community before, and from what I hear, it's not necessarily one that you get to eat after selling your soul and your community down the river. As an immigrant, I would like to make 2 other comments. Firstly, this is America, and yet I'm hearing at these meetings talking of corridors, affordable housing that is stuck at the back of the complex and not integrated into the towers, like 19th century servants or slave quarters.
I do hate to have to interrupt folks, but as I said, we have 2 more calendar items.
Okay.
So we have to move on to the next speaker.
Okay.
Rose,
can I just finish here? Then I hear there is apparently going to be a bus service, but just for the residents of Greenpoint Landing to shuttle them to the subway. I find this shocking. It sounds like going back to America's shameful past of having segregated buses and services, etc. Except this time it is money that is the divide. Secondly, as an immigrant, I'm appalled to read about the allegations of voter fraud in our district. But even more so, I'm appalled that nothing has been done about this, and it has been going on for years. Again, this is America, and this country goes to war to defend the right of others to have free elections that are not rigged. What about taking care of your own backyard?
Yes.
I wish to give a perspective as someone who has been diagnosed with cancer since moving here, now in remission and in another life was a lay cancer researcher. I love this area and my home and my neighbours, but I'll be moving when these developments start breaking ground because I know that this area is highly toxic and ideally should not be dug up and spread around on the wind. If these developments proceed, then someone needs to be very vigilant about the remediation because one life, let alone many lives, is not worth 40 stories anywhere. In particular, I'm very concerned about what long-term residents tell me about the history of 77 Commercial Street, and I sincerely hope that somebody does due diligence and what they are dealing with before they start exposing our community to whatever has transpired there in the past. I've been told it used to be a plastics factory, chemicals underneath the building, and timber and tank, I'm not being able to validate these stories, but they concern me enough that I'll be moving, since I don't trust or believe any remediation process is a clean operation and protects us from fallout, from dust from the earth moving and demolition. Finally, I'd just like to respond to a comment that the lawyer for 77 Commercial said when asked what guarantee your question is that the park would happen, which was, and his response was, well, we're building 720 units and we don't want to look out in the parking lot. Well, I live next door to you and I don't want to look at and be dwarfed by your 40-foot stories. And that about sums up the divide.